All right, today we're going on a bit of a different kind of journey. We're going to be charting a secret map, a map of human desire. And our guides, a few people with some incredibly candid personal stories to tell. So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with first encounters. Then we'll step inside the world of Fuzoku. After that, we dive into a private world of fetish. See how it all comes together in the intersection of desire. And finally, we'll talk about the unspoken spectrum of it all.
All right, first up, first encounters, the awkward and the bold. You know, every journey's got to start somewhere, right? And when it comes to sexuality, that starting point is usually those first experiences, the ones that are fumbling, maybe a little confusing, or sometimes surprisingly bold.
So let's meet our first guide, a guy who goes by King Cobra. His journey kicks off when he's just 17 with a coworker who's 24, and apparently he was so smooth that she straight up asked him, "Is this really your first time?" Pretty confident start, huh? In high school, well, it's a tale of two extremes, isn't it? On one hand, you've got guys like Aoyama, total player, juggling multiple girls at his part-time job, and then you've got Mampy. Poor Mampy. He's trying to get a little romantic in a stairwell and gets busted by security. Twice. Talk about awkward.
Okay, so from those first personal discoveries, our map takes a turn into a totally different territory, Japan's sex industry, known as Fuzoku. This is where desire becomes a transaction, a service, but it's more than that. It's a really unique cultural space where some of the most specific, intimate, and, well, unusual requests are catered to. And this is where we meet our second guide, Ribbon-chan. When she was 20, she gets a job at a massage parlor. They told her, oh, there's no sex involved. But as she quickly found out, the job description, you have to answer the customer's requests, well, that covered a whole lot of ground.
And I mean, look at this list. Her client requests were a journey into some seriously niche desires. We're talking about a guy who wanted her to watch him with sausages and squid inserted anally. Then there was the baby role play, complete with a bib and rattle. Someone else wanted a simulated poop on a sheet. And some guys just paid to be verbally abused. It was, as she said, a world of its own. Meanwhile, what was King Cobra up to? Well, he was managing an S&M club, and he learned the tricks of the trade. Check out this sales strategy. It's a classic bait and switch. You show the customer pictures of the most popular girls knowing they're not available. When he picks one, you say, "Oh, so sorry, she's booked." Then you offer him someone a couple ranks lower, but, and here's the kicker, you waive the membership fee to make him feel like he's getting a great deal. Genius, right?
So we've seen the commercial side. Now let's look at the private world of fetish. This is where desire really goes off map, evolving beyond a transaction and into something deeply personal and unique.
For King Cobra, everything changed. One night after a walk in the park, a single chance encounter opened his eyes to a world he had no idea about. The world of exhibitionism, the desire to be watched, and its counterpart, voyeurism, the desire to watch.
And you can literally see his path unfold right here. At 17, his first time. By 24, he's managing that S&M club. But then, at 27, that's the turning point. He sees a couple in Shinjuku Park, and instead of hiding, they invite him to watch. And just like that, a year later, he's a practicing exhibitionist himself, looking for what he calls win-win encounters.
And while all this was happening with King Cobra, Ribbon-chan was on her own journey, navigating a personal life that was basically a tour through a whole landscape of unique male desires.
And, I mean, just look at this history. She dated a tech guy who was into using remote-controlled vibrators in public. Then there was the mirror man, who needed to watch their reflection during sex. And then there was the big one, a guy with a very large penis, who was only turned on if she wore a full-body Zentai suit. Talk about a diverse dating history. Okay, so now we get to the intersection of desire. We've got two people, right? Both with these incredibly unique, intense, frankly wild sexual histories. So the billion-dollar question is, what on earth happens when these two maps finally become one?
I mean, really think about it. How do these two incredibly specific, almost opposite paths of desire ever converge? How do they find each other?
Well, sometimes the answer is just that simple. Yep, that's right. King Cobra and Ribbon-chan, the two people we've been following this whole time, are a couple. They met at a bar she was working at, and they've been together now for more than 3 years.
And here's why it works. When he introduced her to his world of exhibitionism, she wasn't shocked. Why?
Because, as she puts it, she had a high experience value. All those different encounters, all those unique requests, they gave her a passport to his world. It wasn't a red flag. It was just another spot on the map. It just worked.
So let's zoom out. We're at our final section, the unspoken spectrum. What does this whole map actually reveal? Because these stories, as wild as they are, they're not just about two people. They paint a much bigger picture.
Think about the journey we've been on. It touches on all these different pieces of the puzzle, right? You've got those first experiences that everyone has, you've got commercial sex like the Fuzoku world, you have public exhibition, private fetishes, and then somehow all of it has to fit into relationship dynamics.
So why does any of this matter? Because these stories pull back the curtain on this huge, hidden spectrum of desire that's bubbling just under the surface of everyday life. It shows us that maybe, just maybe, compatibility isn't about finding someone who wants the exact same thing as you. Maybe it's about finding someone whose map has enough interesting places on it that they're not afraid to explore yours.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on, doesn't it? If these are the stories from just two people, what do all the other hidden stories out there tell us about the desires that we don't share? What would that complete, totally unspoken map of human desire actually look like?